Apparently being called out by the Mueller team wasn't enough. Appearing on the ironically named Reliable Sources show Sunday, one of the authors of the Buzzfeed piece tripled down.
I have further confirmation that this is right. We're being told to stand our ground. This is our reporting is going to be borne out to be accurate, and we're 100% behind it.
What if the sources are just wrong?
They're not.
Not intentionally, not trying to hurt you, but just what if they're wrong?
You know, they're not. They're not. I'm confident.
Tough follow-up there. Here now exclusively, and his very first appearance on the Ingraham Angle is Donald Trump Jr. Don, thanks so much for being here tonight.
Good to be with you.
When this story first came out, reporters were quick to pounce, quick to turn the spotlight on you.
Well, they always are, Laura, and this isn't the first time that happened. You saw it right after I did my testimony, and they said, oh, Donald Trump Jr. had the WikiLeaks information because presumably Adam Schiff leaked it right after my testimony to them and conveniently took out the 1 before the 4, turning the 14th into the 4th, meaning I had it 6 days instead, before the world saw it, as opposed to 4 days after the entire world saw it. This has gone on time and time again. It also happened when Lanny Davis said something along the effect of, I told my father about the Russia meeting and he was there. He was CNN's source. He then walked it back and realized it was totally wrong. Their own source did it, and yet today they still haven't pulled that back. And the reason is they need it to be true, Laura. They've been pushing this nonsense for 2 years. They've found nothing, but anytime there's a negative, anytime there's a chance to get Trump, they're going to jump on it. They're basically leftists policing leftists at this point. I love watching some of the CNN commentary. Well, this is going to give us all a bet. Of course it is, because you jump on it each and every time. They cover themselves with the, well, if true, well,
no,
if you're not sure it's true, don't push it for 14 hours
But you
straight.
have to see at 2 p.m. on Friday, Don, this is what they were going with at CNN.
What about the family here? I mean, when you read this Buzzfeed piece, it's Ivanka Trump and Don Jr. who are implicated. Don Jr. testified to Congress in September of 17, saying he was, quote unquote, his words, peripherally aware of it. Afterwards, Democrats Chris Coons and Jackie Spears said it is possible that he lied. How much jeopardy could these family members be?
Well, I think that's what we have to wait and see what happens. And if family members of Trump are going to be implicated, that could be a reason for him to resign and try to work out a deal to save his family.
Don, they were going right to impeachment, then to resignation, and then...
I mean, they got him this time, Laura, like the other 75 times, because they haven't exactly panned out. By the way, no different than the story you covered at the beginning, right? You had some Catholic schoolboys that were at a Right to Life march, okay? They were wearing a MAGA hat. They had to pounce because the media wants that to be true. They want a bunch of nice Catholic kids happen to be white. They want them to be the enemy. This is what they've created. The media has done this to themselves. They have shot themselves in the foot time and time again because they so desperately want this to be the truth, as opposed to saying, you know what? Trump's done a darn good job as president. If you look at any economic metric today, Laura, we are substantially better off than we were 2 short years ago before he took office, because he's doing a great job. Imagine what he could do without the noise, without the, every day there's a new reason for impeachment. Let him do his job. That's the job he was elected to do. And the media right now is really trying to subvert this democracy. They've done more to hurt the credibility of this country's institution as a democracy than anything in history.
Not only the president, but anyone who supports the president. Doesn't matter if you're 14 or you're my age or if you've
God forbid you wear a MAGA hat, Laura, because that must make you all sorts of things. I mean,
Donnie, the issue with this Trump Tower thing keeps coming back, keeps coming back, and we know the Buzzfeed feed deal, and they claim they have it's all sourced and everything.
Of course it is.
When you've had time to think about this, you testified. When was the last discussion about this Trump Tower deal? Because Rudy got everybody really confused, I have to say. And I love Rudy. He hasn't been on the show in a while. We love him. But he goes on Meet the Press, and he says, well, it could have been like right through the election. Then he said he was talking in hypothetical terms today.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't talk about things that I don't know about. But, unfortunately, that sometimes happens, no different than anyone else. But the reality is this wasn't a deal. We don't know the developer. We don't know the site. We don't know anything about it. Ultimately, it was Michael Cohen essentially trying to get a deal done. You know, he was there for a long time. He wasn't exactly a deal guy. Didn't bring too many to the table, so I don't think anyone took it all that seriously. That's the reality of what went on. But, you know, it's that constant link. Now we got him. You saw the story last week. You know, Donald Trump is a Russian agent. Yeah. The guy that's a billionaire, leading in a pretty incredible lifestyle, he left all of that to go into this snake pit, to go into the swamp, to run against 16, 17 Republican contenders. He's got zero chance of doing that. To then defeat Hillary Clinton, he had zero chance of doing that. You know, he did all this because he's a Russian agent. I mean, the reason the media has no credibility is because this is what they do. This is what they do to themselves each and every time.
Adam Schiff, who has the ability now to call witnesses,
of course he does. Sure.
Is said he isn't going to stop. Buzzfeed report, no Buzzfeed report, and I want to play something for you and get your reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still going to investigate the claims?
Absolutely, absolutely. Congress has a fundamental interest in two things. First, in getting to the bottom of why a witness came before us and lied, and who else was knowledgeable that this was a lie.
Even though it's been debunked, Don, he's going to proceed. I imagine he's going to call you back.
Yeah, he's got the reality. He's got nothing else. There's a 99.9% chance he's the guy that was leaking my testimony as I was testifying. I came out of testimony at about 8 o'clock at night looking, and CNN is running quotes from noon on about my testimony. You know, in the House Intelligence Committee. I mean, that has to say something about what's going on in there. Since he's never met a camera he didn't love, I would bet a lot of money that it was him. And the reality is, I've done 25 hours of testimony on a 20-minute meeting. This has been the greatest witch hunt in American history, perhaps world history. In 3 hours, they found the bomber that was the fake bomber. And in 2 years, they haven't found anything other than they got a big bombshell. Oh, they got Trump this time. I've heard it too many times, Laura. The American people don't take this stuff seriously anymore. They look at these people like jokers at this point.
Kamala Harris was out there today. You know, she announced that she's going to run for president. Let's listen.
The path is going to be about talking to people who are right now aware that this economy is not working for working people. It's going to be about talking with people about the fact that right now we have an administration that has waged a full-on assault on American values and American ideals.
Now, Don, when you hear a sitting senator say an assault on American values and American ideals, your dad's called a racist. I've known him for 20 years. I'm sorry. I've never
Laura,
heard him say
the insanity is there. You saw this with the social media platforms attacking the word family because, God forbid, you have family, right? You know, this is this leftist assault. When you talk about this economy not working for the American working class, I mean, Donald Trump's the first president to speak to the American worker in generations at this point. He's the guy delivering it. As I said earlier, there's not a single economic metric where we are not better off as a country today than we were 2 years ago under Barack Obama.
Don,
but with the media carrying the Democrats' baggage, they'll say whatever they want. They should be paid as lobbyists of the DNC at this point.
Are you now still thinking politics in the future? I mean, it's been thought that you were going to go into politics at some point.
Listen, I haven't thought about it that way. For me, it's about, you know, right now, whatever I can do to help my father win, I'm going to do because I love what's going on. As an American, as a patriot, as a father of 5 young children, I see what he's doing, what he's fighting, and the nonsense barrage that he's taking from the insanity that has become the left. Let's not kid ourselves. This is not your grandfather's Democratic Party. They've really lost their way. They have no interest in protecting Americans, only pushing and furthering their insane agenda. And I'm going to do what I can to help him. Whatever happens in the future, I'll deal with that then. But in the meantime, he's making it pretty easy, given what he's doing, because he's doing a phenomenal job for this country.
2020 is coming already. They're all lining up. Don, thanks so much. Don't be a stranger. Thanks for coming on.
I'll be back.